Okay.
I mean, so my expression can change, right? So you'll be like,
Right.
and
Right.
um, welcome, happy opening day of World Cup, happy all things like summer super swing. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, it's an amazing time for Kansas City. I mean, I will say this 1,000 times over. You know, when I left Kansas City, I was like, I'm never going to move back. I love Kansas City. It's a great place to visit. And it's just, I love being back. I mean, as you guys know, I love where I live. I love this area. I love the neighborhood, all the chaos going on. It's fantastic. So, I mean, check back with me in 2 weeks when I'm like, I wish all these people would leave because it takes me forever to get anywhere. But I will say on a
Yes.
positive note, the week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, when the streetcar extension opened up to this actual
Hmm.
stadium, it was packed. I mean, you might have seen like the news reports of like people waiting to get on, but every single car that went by, like the train was absolutely full, shoulder to shoulder, which
Oh, wow.
is
That's
is
awesome,
sort of
though.
tough, but it's a good sign. Like you know, and as I say, if you've been to Chicago or other cities like that, you're just like game day. You just know how to deal with that stuff. So
Hmm.
anyway,
Well, hang
segue.
on one
So
second. Hang on one
yes,
second, Jake. I know there's big things going in Kansas City, but did you check out the NBA Finals game last night?
that was kind of amazing. Thank you for bringing that up. And again, I'll just spin this into a business sort of real estate analogy, and I think actually that's the best analogy we could have to go into it because you're down 29 points. Like the whole thing was, I mean, the entire place was like, blah, we are dead. We are.
Yes.
It's such.
And we have a
My air.
Kansas City kid playing.
I know my air conditioning just kicked on. Is that too loud in the background?
Nah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's just some white
Um,
noise.
I mean, it's too hot. So anyway, you're down 29 points. The stadium's dead. Nobody's got any energy, and all of a sudden, that second half, like an amazing swing. And that's the analogy we're going to talk about today. Like in a sense, no
Hmm.
matter where you are, you actually still have the potential not just to do well and compete, but to win and really put some actual real points on the board and switch the momentum.
Yes.
But you know, can you imagine, Jen, what that halftime speech was like in
Oh
that
my
locker room?
gosh.
I mean, what
I
like
can't.
what would you even say? Like out of curiosity, just to like what would you
I'd have
say to
told
your team?
him, well, the Knicks team, I would have told him to get out of get Wimby out of your head because
Yeah,
I feel like the first half they were more concerned with shutting him down and fouling him or trying to make him foul them that they weren't really playing their game. So
I I think that is
that's
spot. That's spot on because in we do that in business. We focus on
mhm,
this thing that we think is going to be the challenge, and we stop playing our own game, and we miss all these opportunities, and we don't get in the rhythm. And I think that's, you know, that's really the best segue for what we're going to talk about today. And it's really,
mhm,
it's halftime, it's the mid-year check-in, it's all the analogies, and really we're going to build this around just leveraging the tools we have with the brand and with the company and with the organization to to make your game plan, and most
mhm,
importantly, when the game plan isn't working, switch to a different game plan. But
mhm.
the short answer here is if we don't know what's not working and we just lean into frustration and scarcity mentality and all of those things, which is easy to do, we can't get out of that space. So here's what we're going to talk about a
Mhm.
little bit today. Next slide. So we're going to do a mid-year check-in. We're going to find out where we are collectively. We're going to talk about Sphere 365 and really the all-in tracker. And I'm going to, Jen and I are going to give us perspective on what does that all mean? It's like we got 19 different games going on at once, and it does feel like that. But I want to try and bottom line that in a sense
Mhm.
and help everyone make sense of what all the parts actually mean as they go through. So please, if you've got questions, jump on, unmute yourself whenever you want, put it in the chat, however you want to do that to go through this. So here's the plan: self-evaluation. Jen, how do you feel about self-evaluation?
It's hard to be honest with myself, but if I'm not honest with myself, then I'm not really going to grow in the way I need to grow.
Yeah, and and also, I mean, the bigger question: how do you feel about evaluations in general?
Well, as someone who had to evaluate teachers all the
Yeah,
time and get evaluated myself on a metric, it is really hard. It is hard to hear. Um, how someone else feels about your work product, but it's also hard to tell other people the tough stuff too.
It
It really
is,
is.
it is, and I, that um, we all use little mechanisms to get into that conversation, evaluation. We talked about this in our leadership meeting the other day, like when we send out, which I know we will be, those surveys of like, how are we doing? I mean, I'm not going
Mhm.
to lie to you. I want you to lie to me, but also please tell me the truth, right?
Right.
Like we need to hear it, and we want to hear it. And the hardest part
Hmm.
about being a professional, whether you're an agent or on our side, is doing the right things and evaluating yourself and having
Hmm.
that honest conversation. So I'll put that out there to say, be real with yourself, track the numbers. In truth, give yourself appropriate room for growth, right? If you're nailing every category, there's, I hate to say it harsh, but then your business has got to be pretty incredible, which is the
Hmm.
benefit of that. So if those two things are incongruent with each other, we got a problem, right? And that next
Hmm.
piece, determine your focus, and we'll do that. I'll show you sort of where we're going to put that in. What's the big rock? What's the thing? What's the one item in your business for the next 6, even just 3 months that you're like, that's the only thing I'm going to focus on right now, and it's either going to get improved or I'm going to have to step away from it because I can't fix it on my own. Right, here's, I think, the absolute most important thing we're going to do is book a one-on-one with your manager. And in addition, book a one-on-one with your manager for sure. If you also want to book a one-on-one with Jen or myself or any of us, we absolutely want to sit down and help frame those conversations and take a look. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Hmm.
I think we're particularly gifted at helping you see the shortcomings in that. Riley and I were having a conversation a couple weeks ago at Mission Farms, and we talked about just coaches and everybody that you've got sort of around you. And it's rare to have one coach solve all the problems. And I think that's sort of the analogy here, right? Your manager is going to be great at seeing certain things. We're going to be great at coming in from sort of a different perspective and seeing those things as well. And I promise you, those things are all in the sense of helping everybody, especially you guys, grow your business. So, and then the other thing, commit to the work, right? I think we all should have an accountability partner to some degree. I think your manager is sort of an accountability partner, but I don't know that sometimes that's the right fit. Jen and I work really well together, and amen that she holds me accountable most of the time, and I actually appreciate that. I think sometimes when your manager has sort of this hierarchy, it's harder for you to feel accountable to them because you're already sort of like, I have to do well because it's my manager, right? Find somebody in your office that you work well with, that you can hold each other accountable, and just ask the question like, how's that going, right? And when you get that question, you're like, it's not. What are we going to do about that, right? So we move forward. Committing to the work, getting accountability, leaning into what we're talking about today. These episodes we put together, the conversations, the GSD days, all of those opportunities to commit to the piece. All right, so here's the wheel. Um, we did this in risk management. Was it a year ago, Jen? I've lost track.
November. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
November.
Yeah. Um, this was, as I've said, sort of a big, I'll call it passion project for me, where I really took the things that we do as agents and not to put them in tasks, but really to put them into these, 5 big categories of our business, right? And I said it before, it's based on Tony Robbins' concept of the 7 forces of business mastery, right? I took that and transformed it a little bit into real estate. Each of those major categories has 5 overreaching categories that fit in. Now, as I always say, there's a whole bunch of stuff in each one of those line items that sort of make up, right? Like we talk about marketing, there's a whole laundry list of like, is it YouTube? Is it sort of like whatever those things are, which again, we're happy to have conversations, but the big piece is your marketing consistent, for instance? And that's what it is. So I hopefully simplified this a little bit. When you get this, print it out, put it in front of you, take a minute to do it. And honestly, sometimes this is I can't do it immediately. I need to maybe look at it, think about it, come back, reflect, and sort of review. But the idea is, on the big list, on the back, depending on which way you have your paper flipped. Check the yeses, and you don't necessarily have to check the nos, but sometimes there's that weird psychological thing when you check the no, you acknowledge that it's a no. I say it this way. If you're unsure, you're like, I kind of do, right? If you're already having that question with yourself, it's probably a no, right? Unless you can really feel ownership of that category. Jen, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, you lived in the world of evaluation and determinations of
Yes.
these things. What are your thoughts on that?
So I kind of look at this as objectives.
Yeah,
So if you're talking about it in the world of education, these would be like when you're teaching kids, do they have they mastered each objective? And that's what those state tests do at the end of the year.
yeah,
There's all these objectives teachers are supposed to teach and then have the students master them. Well, this a little different, but that's how I
yeah,
think about this,
yeah,
that under the theme or chapter or unit roadmap, these are the things that I should master for my business to be optimized. And if
yeah,
I'm really good at it, I have mastered it. That's yes. If I'm not really good at it yet or need a little bit of help, like Jake was saying, then it's a no, because you could use some coaching or a
there's still
resource
something.
that
Yeah.
we might have. Yeah. So that's the idea here is, and that's what I was getting at earlier about being honest with yourself. It does, if you mark everything yes so that you can give it to your manager and say, yep, I'm good with all this, I don't need any help. Well, you better be at the very top of your
I was going to
game
say
then.
there's and what's interesting, and I wholly support that statement, and I think that our team, our leadership team, are going to be like, really, really, that's the number you want to put here? Let's not, and as an appropriate challenge, but like let's talk about it. Like tell me about, in a sense, like how you arrived to this, which is what your broker manager, leadership team, accountability partner, coach should be doing. Should be calling you out a little bit on those things. So, and
Mhm.
here's what's amazing: you will go back and forth in your life, in your business, and I talked about these four S's before. Like there's scarcity at the bottom, where you're just hanging on for dear life, right? You reach stability, where you're like, okay, like I'm balanced, right? It's going well. Success is sort of that next piece up, where you're like, okay, I'm coming into ownership, I'm starting to master these things, and then significance is really at the top. Now, what's amazing is you don't stay in any one of those places for very long, and that's actually a good thing, right? We do stuff behind the scenes where I'm like, we're stable and we might even be in success. And then we're like, oh, we're kind of back to stable right now. And sometimes you dip into scarcity where we're like, what is happening? That's a natural rhythm in your business as well. So that's why this evaluation happens holistically, so you can reevaluate all the parts. I was great at this. I've let that fade because I worked over here, and that's okay. So there's going to be some balance there. Any last thoughts on this, Jen? Your manager's going to ask you. We want to collect these. It's just
Mhm.
the working document for us to use moving forward. I think that's
Mhm.
the easiest way to say it. Any
It's
thoughts on that, Jen?
and yeah, and to say it's an evaluation, it is not punitive in any way. I don't
Yeah.
want to, because a lot of people hear evaluation and then they think punitive. It is not. It is so that we want to use this. This is a tool for your broker, for Jake and I, to
Yep.
know what do we need. This is what we use to come up with our themes for Master
Yeah.
Your Craft.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we're hitting the ones that people need the most help in. um, we want to make sure Jake and I are constantly working on new resources and new trainings and new things for you. We need to know what you need. And so
Yep.
this helps
That's a great
us
way to say it.
do that. And
Yep.
so it's just an ongoing, what do you need help with? And then once you have your meeting with your one on one broker, and everybody will be doing this,
Nice.
even though everybody's not on this call today,
Right. Everybody will be doing
everybody
it.
will be
So
learning that
you're
you
not
need to,
punished for being on the call. Like, everybody's going to be
right?
doing it.
Everybody has to do this. So if you don't make the appointment with your broker, they will make it with you. You're going to total up all your yeses and then look on your um, on the front side of that page, which is the area that you need to focus on the most. And the example that Jake gave is the financial acumen.
Mhm.
Okay, well, then you get to co-develop with your broker, either utilizing your broker, Jake, myself. We have national tools. We have
Yep.
all sorts of resources linked to each one of these things that are available to you all.
Yeah, Jen's done an amazing job of categorizing all these things and like, here's the things that help this. Here's the things that help this. So thank you, as always, Jen, for putting
Mhm.
that stuff together. So,
Yeah, you bet.
when we talk about this, Sphere 365 is this national program that's really just about the consistency of what I would say is the number one job in the real estate business, which is cultivating relationships. I think you have three jobs in relationships. Cultivating relationships is one. It's kind of the first one. It's if you don't have leads, if you don't have relationships, you don't get leads. If you don't have leads, none of this stuff matters. That's the fundamental building block, and I think every single one of us could always improve our ability to cultivate and deepen relationships. We've got great relationships. I'm not saying that you don't have great relationships, but we could go deeper in those relationships. We could add people to that we connect with in our sphere, our A plus people, all of those things. It's just that is the purpose of this business, if I define that. So this isn't really an add-on. It's just the thing that supports all of those other pieces on the
Mhm.
coaching wheel itself. Without these deep relationships, you don't even have problems, right? Like I often say, higher quality problems. You got too many people in your sphere, that's a higher quality problem, right? The gift you get is to be able to categorize them, find the people you're going to lean into in this. And Jen, why don't you tell us about the structure of Sphere 365 before we move forward,
Sure, sure.
if you
So
don't
this
mind?
is really, yeah, this is kind of along the same line. If you all were here all last year and the beginning of this year, Jake, for what, a full year? Did you do that or 45
uh,
weeks?
45 weeks, so
Okay.
February to, it was basically almost a
Yeah,
year, right?
almost a year. So he did my 45 tribe, and every week, agents that wanted to participate in this accountability group met with Jake via Google Meet for 15 minutes. And they talked about he would give people, everybody that was on the call, a challenge. And then the next week they would report out on it and he'd provide them with another challenge. And it was a great way to have an accountability group specifically for your database. And that is what Sphere 365 is. It is talking about um, how to giving great ideas, how to stay in contact with your sphere. Um, it is actually hosted every month, once a month, the first Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. by National. So Carrie Ann Shepard and Tommy Worley are hosting it. They are, Carrie is in charge of all education pieces and professional development at our national level. And the really neat thing is that National is producing deliverables, things you can
Yeah,
actually
that's huge.
use. They not only give you the ideas about what you can do, but they provide the thing that you need to do them.
Yeah.
They utilize Canva Enterprise to do that. And so there are social media posts, there are just all sorts of neat things that they're doing. And we're not saying that is exactly what you need to do, but that just gives you an idea about what you can do. So it is a half an hour, 45-minute call, first Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. And then Jake and I want to, they have the ability, they offered the ability for any agent that participated in it to be coached by Carrie Ann or Tommy in a group of 30 agents from all over the country. You can still do that if you want to, but Jake and I are
Our feelings won't
wanting,
be hurt. Our feelings won't be
yeah,
hurt.
our
I think it
feelings
might
won't be hurt, but we
go.
are really wanting to, because my tribe was so awesome. We wanted to have the opportunity to coach you here in a group. So those calls will be alternating Thursdays. So every Thursday will either be Master Your Craft or Sphere 365. And it's 15 minutes. You just get on a Google Meet
Yeah.
call and we just talk about what you're doing based on the stuff that they gave you in the national call. They help you set goals. They want us to track the goals, so that you really truly are accountable. And
Yep.
so I know, Jake, and you can talk more about this. You had the people that participated in my tribe.
It,
Holy cow, the results they saw in their business,
yeah, I
amazing.
think when we, and again the part of the part of that piece was, I mean, it was a consistent stuff for us. We did it every week, and not to say that some agents would come in and they'd have a streak and they get busy, and I understand, and that was kind of the idea. It's like, if we aim for this 45 weeks, we're gonna nail it, and even if we don't hit that, it's still pretty darn good, right? There's still some action happening there. So I think overall, I'm going to say 25 to 30% improvement in production, that agents who were consistently, and believe me, when Jen knows this, when I said consistently, I encompass just about everybody in this category. If you showed up for a couple of calls, you were consistent, right? I was very forgiving on how we judged it consistent to that. But it was 25 to 30% production across the board for agents who were just showing up and having the conversation. And I'll frame it a
Mhm.
little bit for this, just because I sort of want to get it on the record. When we do this call, the Master Your Craft, this piece, we joke that it's a podcast. It's a broadcast. Like we give, you kind of listen. There's some participation. I will frame it the other way for this accountability call, and I don't want to scare anybody off by saying this, but I do want to frame it that it's much more interactive. We want to hear what actually is working in those conversations, even if it's like I couldn't get myself out of my comfort zone. I couldn't do it. I couldn't send the thing. That's the stuff we need to hear on a basis to say, like, okay, if you're struggling with this, my guess is there's a couple of other people. How do we help you get through that? So, that is going to be one. We're going to ask for cameras on. We're going to ask for interaction, but please still attend,
Mhm.
not under threat of being on camera. I get how
Right.
it is, but the idea there is, it's a 15-minute, like, let's unpack all the stuff so we can make sure we're not missing anything, and a little bit of
Mhm.
encouragement along the way. Any other thoughts on that one,
Absolutely.
Jen?
Yeah, it's not a sit and get like this one is for
Yeah,
sure. It is
yeah.
totally
We got to
interactive.
stop that here too. We got to
Yeah,
make people
yeah,
accountable too.
yes. So, oh, let me say one thing.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
didn't have any agents on the first call that National did. There is a recording of it on Tuesday in your business meeting. There will be a link shared. We'll talk more about what we're going to do on Tuesday, but it's recorded. So you can go
yeah,
watch it if you want to. And our June 18th, if you can't watch it before then, that is okay. We're just going to get on and talk a little bit more about the
yeah,
structure and that sort of thing
yeah,
and what to expect. So,
yep.
okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jake.
No,
Hmm.
no, no. So this last piece, and again, it feels like there's like all these things. The short answer is, here's how they relate. You're doing stuff in Master Your Craft to focus on your business. You're doing activities. We've got the Sphere 365, right, which is going to be doing stuff. I think Christian and I, there's a national tracking piece, and Jen, I think you and I had a side
Hmm.
conversation, but we want you to do the national tracking. Also, this is sort of where we want us to live in terms of
Hmm.
tracking, and we'll share the numbers and reverse it. We want to make sure that we're sort of tracking holistically. Now, when I
Hmm.
say this to give everybody grace, I don't want you to think that it's not important. But I make this joke all the time. I don't care what you do. What I care about is you do something. Right? Like, I don't want you to think that I'm aloof, because
Hmm.
I hope you know how much I actually care, but I can't want it more than you. But here's how this entire thing ties together is, if we don't pay attention to our numbers, we have no data, we have no clarity, we have no sense of improvement. I make the same comment all the time. Honestly, the last thing I ever want to do is train for a marathon. However, if I decided to train for a marathon and I didn't track my times, I didn't even pay attention to the distance I ran, I didn't track anything, how successful do you think that would be? Right? But in twofold, right? I don't have any data, and also I can guarantee when I'm running, I'm like, this is stupid the entire time. Even if I actually ran pretty well, right? Like, even if my
Hmm.
time was actually good. Sometimes, as I say, the difference between here and here, they don't always align. What might not feel great could actually be successful. But without the data, you just have no sense. And that's why this is so important, is just to track your habits. Like anything in the world, the data gives us clarity. Clarity is kindness. That's just how we have to run the business. So this all-in tracker encompasses all the things you could do in your business. Some of them are going to resonate with you. Some of them you're going to donkey leg on the other side. I'm cool with that. Find your jam. Find what works for you. But really here, if we go through these, we've got, just your name, the date in, what office you're associated with. We do want to break it down, and there's a friendly little office competition behind the scenes. You can see that Christian has applied sort of a point system. That next line down, if you want to lump your activities in for the week and don't do it daily, cool. Here's the dates that you can overlap. The only caveat I would say is, at the very end of it, don't just be like, it's from June 11th to July, whenever we're running this through August, and it's all encompassing. That doesn't really help you to just put in one. I mean, the numbers are good. That's honestly hard to track and keep track of, but seeing that over time, not just in one big lump sum, right? How many calls to or texts to my Sphere? Am I sending personal notes, social media posts, original or shared, right? We've got all these great resources. Videos posted, you can see those get slightly higher points, right? Video posted to your social media. Open houses hosted. Listing tour or carousels, learning sessions, office meetings. Like, how are you engaging in this stuff? Being here, 1 point. 1 point for everybody, right? And those
2 points. 2 points.
Oh, is
Jake.
it 2 points? She changed it to 2. I'm sorry,
Yes.
It's 2 points. It's
Come
2
on,
points.
Jake.
I was like, oh, she did change it. Good. Are you interacting? Are you staying sort of in accountability with other people, right? Are you using the magazines? Definite points for there. Adding new contacts to your database, and then contacts added to a campaign, right? It's twofold. You might have a database of 6,000 people, which is just insane if you ask me. But none of those people are on any campaigns, or they're not getting any newsletters, right? So there's points for moving them onto a repeatable sort of ongoing campaign. And just adding new people. I was at an open house. Maybe I was at a business mixer. I added people, right? So I add people in, I put them on a campaign, more points. Last one, coffees, one-on-ones. That's the magic. Taking people to coffee, not to talk business and be like, hey, Jen, do you want to come to coffee so I can talk to you about selling your house? And you're like, I do not want to do that ever, as a matter of fact. But, Jen, we haven't seen each other in a while. Let's get together. I'd love just to catch up. I promise it's actually not even about business, and you hold true to that promise. But you deepen the relationship. What's been going on? Like, I heard you got some stuff with your foot. Like, those things are kind of magic, and they're easy to do. Most highly successful agents spend most of their time just simply doing that. They're like, I do 2 coffee dates a week or 3 a week. Some of them do 5 a week. Coffee, lunch, whatever you want to make that. Backyard bash invites. It's a big deal. Client parties, client mixers. You've heard me say ad nauseum. Single most important thing you can do to your business. It's showing gratitude to the people who have shown gratitude to you, and paying those people, paying them back with a little celebration. And by the way, your great clients over here and your great clients over here probably would like to meet each other and interact. They're like, hey, you're some of my best people. I'd love for you to meet and interact. Right? That's an opportunity for you to do that. We do the heavy lift. You show up and socialize, which is absolutely the best way to do a client party ever, because you don't have to stress about all the stuff. Ryan does that, and Jen does that, and the committee. And I was going to say, and our great, incredible community team behind the scenes that does so much of that heavy lifting for this. And we cannot give them enough shout outs to go through all the pain of this process. So thank you. And talent attraction. Are you bringing in potential new recruits to the company that you're like, hey, I was on the opposite side of this person and they're really solid. Maybe one of your managers or one of us can reach out to them and maybe see if they might be interested in joining sort of this family and this team. So, and then we added one last one. I'll sort of leave it at this, but Aaron Drussel, one of the owners out of Utah. Utah. Great, fantastic guy, big personality. He was on a national call, and one of his really successful agents talked about this idea that she makes a point to try and fail at something or do something that is sort of a very out of comfort zone kind of piece every week, just simply to remind yourself that those are important things to do, and sort of by that rule, like if you don't ask, you already have a no, right? Like if I don't reach out and call this person who might really be interested, I mean, technically I already have no, because I definitely don't get yes because I didn't even reach out to them. But maybe it's reaching out to a client you haven't talked to in a while, and you're initiating that contact, and there's a chance of that failure. There's a chance that it doesn't go well. And Jen, I think you echo the same sentiment. Our failures teach us so much. It's painful, but the failures, there's some magic that happens there when we do that. Thoughts on all this? I know I talked over you per usual this time.
Oh, no, you're great. Yeah, I love all of these, and they're not hard to do. And all it's going to do is grow your business.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point here, is to help you
Yep.
grow your business. And so, what I'm interested in seeing and hearing back from people is at the end of this challenge, um, by doing these things that maybe you didn't do before or weren't doing a
Yeah.
lot of, how did that change your business?
Mhm. I think
I really
it,
am interested in finding
I,
that
I
out.
I love that you said that too, because it's like, well, I tried this thing and I failed at it 4 times, and now weirdly it's my superpower. I'm like, that's usually what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like I disliked it, but I disliked it so much that I was going to lean into it, or it was a skill that you just hadn't worked on yet, and I think that's part of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you,
And
go ahead. Yeah.
if you need any help with any of these things, because you're just not like, some people aren't great at social media. How do I
Yeah.
utilize the brand produced or even our own produced social media
Yep.
things? Please ask. That's what GSD on demand is for.
Yep.
It
Oh yeah.
doesn't have to be for a whole half an hour or an hour. It can be a phone call to answer a couple of questions. So
Yep.
if you have questions about any of the things on here and what you can utilize, we have resources behind every one of these things.
Okay.
So please, please, please ask if you don't know. I'd rather you ask and it take 5 minutes instead of 30 minutes, and you don't have to search for it for an hour and try to muddle
Yeah.
through it on your own.
Yeah, that's not the kind of momentum we want you to lose, right? We
No.
want you to be like, okay,
Yeah.
I got the thing, right? Answer the question. So, the short
Yeah.
answer is this is the cornerstone of everything we talked before. If you're tracking stuff and creating data, we can diagnose everything that's happening, right? Like I can then look at the Master Your Craft wheel and say like, okay, well, here's some things, and they all really relate to the quality of your relationships, how consistently you're cultivating those relationships. That is the number one opportunity slash problem that we have to get all the gifts on the Master Your Craft wheel. So, Jen,
Mhm.
any parting thoughts? You're amazing as always. We got the broker lesson coming up. Pretty straightforward. We're going to be doing this time, right?
Yes, yes. All we're doing is making sure that on Tuesday, we're making sure that you can access all of these things. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually doing it.
Show
So,
up, show up, do some stuff, put down some numbers, meet with your broker, commit to stuff. The end, success, right? when we see you in November and December, you're like, it worked, and I'm like, I'm glad, it worked. We've been saying it. So, Jen, as always, thank you. I'm off to celebrate World's Best Friend Cup weekend with a friend coming
yes.
into town. So I'll be out and about. Thanks for holding down the fort back here and doing all the hard work as always. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate
You
everyone
bet.
joining. Thank you. Thank you.
See you on Tuesday.